أنوشكا شانكار، الاسم هو مرادف للموسيقى الكلاسيكية الهندية والعزف على آلة الستار، وطبعا والدها هو أسطورة العزف رافي شانكار يلي كملت مسيرته بعالم الموسيقى ولكن مع كسر الحواجز التقليدية، فحصلت على 5 ترشيحات لجوائز الجراميز، وأهم ألبوماتها كان لعام 2013، وآخر أعمالها هي أغنية بتحاكي معاناة اللاجئين وأوجاعهم. وفريق زي كونكت بالعربي كان معها بلقاء حصري حكت لنا فيه عن أخباره.
What do you enjoy most about holding concerts here in the Middle East?
My memories of performing in this area are all very positive. I feel like there's a really strong audience who enjoys the music. There's a lot of people with whom I share heritage as well who seem to have extra enjoyment of people like me coming and playing their music in this country as well. So yeah, I've always enjoyed it very much and I'm happy to be back again.
We would like to know how your career all started. Your father, Rani Shankar, is of course one of India's most beloved musicians, but what made you decide to follow in his footsteps?
Well, I started learning from my father when I was about 7, and by the time I was 13, I was already performing with him. So in some ways it was quite quick, that I loved playing, I loved the instrument, I loved being around what he did, and I wanted to be a part of it. But at the same time, it was also quite intimidating. The instrument itself, you know, it's a very intensive classical training. It's a big instrument. It's all very, very complicated. And my father was also hugely famous, and he was the kind of, obviously the best known sitar player in the world. So I knew there was a pressure. So in my teenage years, I was a little hesitant as well, even though I loved it. But it kind of just grew on me gradually. The more I played, the more I loved it, the more I wanted to play. So by the time I finished with my schooling, I knew that was what I wanted to do very clearly.
Well, you grew up in a generation that was really fueled by rock and pop music. Why did you decide to stick with Indian classical as your genre?
I mean, I think there's been many generations at this point that have been fueled by rock and pop and dozens of other genres besides that. And then I haven't actually stuck with Indian classical music, but I guess there's a couple of pieces to that. One is that I did grow up, you know, with my father being the foremost exponent of Indian classical music. So I was learning in the most beguiling and beautiful way what it had to offer. And it was something I loved very deeply and I wanted to also share with people and share with the world. But from there, I've also made music that's very much my own, you know, and it's a mix of my more traditional culture that I've learned from, but is also very much a product of today. It's the Indian music I've learned, but it's also influenced by all the international places I've lived and the music I listen to. So I haven't actually like stuck with Indian classical music in a way, but it's also something that I continue to represent.
Many of your album titles have a very deep analogy to self-discovery. What inspires you when you're writing?
That's a nice question. I mean, I guess like most musicians, like most artists, I'm inspired by things that make me feel. And so then I feel drawn to express that feeling in my music. And so that could be love, it could be loss, it could be hope, it could be rage, it could be any kind of feeling, but anything that provokes that kind of deep feeling in me then often ends up coming out in music. And a lot of the times that can be personal, you know, like I've written from my own life experiences of whether my father passing away or heartbreak or, you know, joyful experiences like my children being born. All of these things can influence my music, but also so can things that are happening in the world. You know, if there's like a very prominent incident of someone being attacked in a way that I find very heartbreaking, or if there's something happening in the world that feels very unjust, those can provoke the same feelings, and then I want to share that in music and hopefully be part of a greater impact as well.
And would you say that some of them also impact your activism?
I feel like increasingly there's less and less border for me between what is my musical work and what is my activism, because I'm not, because I'm a creative artist. So the stuff I write is coming out of me. So like I say, if I feel something about what's happening in the world, it comes out in my music as well. And I might go on a march, or I might lend my name to a benefit concert, you know, so these things kind of bleed together because it's who I am as a person. So it's not like there's an activist hat and a musician hat. It's just about me and my life, really.
Yeah, like your music is your activism or your part in activism.
Often it will be. Like sometimes the music is the activism and sometimes it isn't. You know, sometimes the activism is more direct, or sometimes the music is just music as well. Like I've recently been writing songs that are very, very simple. They're just love songs. And part of me kind of thinks, oh God, is it okay to just make a love song? Because it feels like the last thing I was making felt so much more important, you know? But also that has validity too, and it speaks to people and it's healing. So I try and be open and just be honest and authentic to what's right in the moment, I guess.
6 of your albums have been nominated for a Grammy, and you hold the title as the youngest and the first woman in the category of world music. Would you say that these were one of your greatest achievements in your career?
No. I think awards and nominations are bestowed by other people. So they're honors, and I would say they're some of the greatest honors I've had in my career, but they're not my greatest achievement because I didn't do them. I didn't do anything. You know, what I did is make the work. I made the music. So the music itself is my achievement, whether it gets an honor or a recognition or not, you know? So I think of achievement in terms of more tangible things that I do. Do I succeed at like not shouting at my kids when they're being really challenging? That's an achievement, you know? Do I play a concert that I find really difficult? Do I play it well? That's an achievement. So yeah, I count achievements differently, I guess.
Well, you've just dropped your new album, so what are your future plans?
So I'm currently releasing a series of songs, a single at a time, and they're leading towards an EP called Love Letters, which will be coming out in February. So it's the first time I'm releasing music in that kind of an informal way without more of the traditional big album touring circuit, and I'm really enjoying getting to sort of reach people in that very immediate way. I also recently released a compilation called Reflections in the spring, which is a retrospective of music from across the last 20 years. I can't believe I've been getting to make music that long, so it's really amazing getting to look back and release that. And I guess after that, there's a kind of real focus on my father's centenary. He would have turned 100 in 2020, and so there's a whole series of events happening around the world, and I'm taking part in quite a few of those, so that's a big focus. And then after that, I'll then be working on whatever my next project is.
That's actually incredible. Can you tell us more about it?
So the centenary is going to kick off, for me at least, in London. I'll be playing a specially curated concert on the actual birthday that would have been on the 7th of April. I'll be performing with my sister, Nora Jones, for the very first time. We've written songs together, but we've never played live together, so we're doing that in his honor. And then from there are a series of concerts around the world, of course in India as well at the end of the year. Beyond that, there's exhibitions, there's a biography coming out, I'm playing his concertos around the world, his opera will be put on again. Just kind of different cities are celebrating in different ways, but we're trying to make it as international as possible, and yeah, it's a really big year.
What is your advice for people who would consider entering this industry?
It's a tough one. Music can be really tricky. I mean, my advice is like, you've got to really love this, you know? So if you do, then it's a lot of hard work. So I don't know what my advice is other than like, just try and find your true voice, whatever that is. I don't mean like singing, but like whatever your true voice is, and really find what that is and bring it out into the world, because like everyone is unique. So if you have what's unique about you in your music, then that's going to speak to people. You know, all of us can kind of push the same buttons and hit the same beats, and it's not just about that. It's about putting your soul into it. Like really put whatever genre it is, whatever style, but like put yourself into it completely, and then it's beautiful.
Will you be debuting your new album in the concert?
We will be playing some of my old material that's featured on the album. In a new way though, like to kind of with a new band that's been put together especially for this tour. But we're also playing a lot of new music. Like, I'm not personally a fan of just going and regurgitating albums on tour, so I like to really twist it up. So we're actually playing a lot of music that people can only hear live, so it's quite special. I hope people enjoy it.
And will it be solo act, or will there be any duets?
Well, I'm touring with an ensemble of musicians, so they will be on stage for the duration with me. I've got incredible instrumentalists on tabla, Carnatic rhythm instruments, cello, piano, what else? Flute, and sitar, of course.